record button. There we go. Session's being recorded. All right. My name is Rick Baxter. Appreciate everybody jumping in on this webinar today. I'm going to be covering how to fix the 5 gaps. There's probably more than 5 gaps in NAV manufacturing, to be honest, but I'm going to kind of focus on the ones that we run into quite often, and we'll show you how to fix those 5 gaps as we go. Now, I sent the study guide to everybody this morning, so you should have a copy of this. If you registered or signed in late for the webinar, you may not have a copy of this, but it is available in the handout section. Hey, just so you know a little bit about me, I've been around the NAV, and before that it was Navision, and now it's going to be called Business Central product line for many, many, many years. Probably, how many years? 20 plus years. Selling, supporting, writing add-on products, and helping users, hopefully like yourself, get more out of their software. I think it's a wonderful piece of software, and I really want to see people fully utilize every little nook and cranny of the software, and we're going to show you today some ways to do that. So let's get started here. So I'm going to cover 5 gaps, and as I said here, there are more, but let me just kind of focus on 5 of them that I know about, and there's probably a few others, but we'll get started. So NAV manufacturing out of the box is what I call just not enough. That's the first premise here, is that the manufacturing, the way it works out of the box, is just not enough. And so the first solution or the fix to that problem is an add-on called Manufacturing Plus. So I'm going to take you through some of the key features of this user-friendly interface and show you what it looks like. Now, I put some print screens in your handout section, but I really want to take you through it in the live environment. So let me move this out of the way, and we'll show it to you live. So and I'm using NAV 2018. If you're on Business Central, it is almost exactly the same for those of you that are on the on-premise version of Business Central. Okay, so the first thing is the Role Center. So the Role Center is like your main menu. This is where every morning when you log in, you would see this Manufacturing Plus Role Center. So be sure you have that configured so you get to that Role Center, because we've said, okay, with this Role Center, what do people in manufacturing do? What do they do on a daily basis? What do they need access to? So we wanted to put everything in one place just so that you can get to your contacts, your customers, your vendors, your inventory items, your resources, work centers, machine centers, everything that you do on a regular basis. I want it right here in front of you. I want you to be able to get to your simulated production orders, your planned, firm planned, and release production orders, all with one click. So I'm a big believer in productivity, and you'll hear that throughout the session today, is that one click. So if I'm on, let's say, release production orders, I'm going to come back there. Sales orders, purchase orders, capacities, product design, all the things that a manufacturer would do, we feel is conveniently located right on this screen. Requisition worksheet, your forecast, your planning worksheet, your subcontracting worksheet, standard cost calculations, everything right here. So I really wanted to make a point that everything is just right here. New sales orders, new sales invoices, new production orders. So everything is just right here. Let's drill down onto the release production orders. There's 30. So these are the existing production orders in my software, and I want to stop right here and just point out something on the screen. Let's get a job that's got a couple things I want to show you, right? There. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. So I'm on this production order 1011002, and it shows me that it's released because this is all my release production orders. Here's the source. So that's the product or the part number that I'm making. You're going to have your part number showing up here. Your routing number is going to show up here. The quantity that you're producing is going to show in this column. The starting date, the ending date, what other goodies do we have? The due date and who the assigned user ID is if you use that. But this one's for 27. Let me point out a couple things more about it that you may or may not have on your screen. So first thing I like to be able to see is what the expected cost is of this production order. This order right here. What is the cost? The material cost, the capacity cost. That's the labor cost. And then the total, and you might have subcontracting. This one doesn't have any subs on this production order, but if it did, it would add up here. Cost per unit basically divides the $9,000 by the 27 and tells me what my cost per unit is. Now, just below that is also another very important statistic, which is the actual cost. I think it's really important for you to see at a glance what the kind of the production order to date, kind of job to date cost is of the production order. So any postings that have occurred will start adding to the material cost, capacity cost if you're on one that doesn't have any. Here's one. Look, see, there's no cost on this one. So this one hasn't been worked on yet, although it has expected cost, but whereas this one actually has some actual cost. So you'll see those coming in all automatically. Now, this enhancement, if your screen doesn't look like my screen, okay, which I'm hoping it doesn't, and I'm hoping that you say, I want it to, then you need to call me, because this is how we design our screens here at Cost Control Software with a product called Manufacturing Plus. We can add this with very, very easily to your database. So that's the look and feel of the Roll Center. The expected cost, actual cost, fact boxes, those are important. Here's a couple other little goodies. So if I edit this production order, this is the actual body of a production order where you're making the particular product. We're actually producing 27 of this, what are we got here? A bicycle that we're making, and it's for 27. Now the bicycle is going to have steps and processes. That's the routing. I want the routing one click. So boom, I'm into operation 10, 20, 30, 40. So right here, one click, easy to get to it, easy to see my starting dates, ending dates, my setup times, my run times, all that information, handy dandy, right here on screen, and one click away. Same for the components. I want one click, and I can see all the materials that are going to be needed on this production order. So it's, again, one click concept. You see one other thing here. All right. So on the back wheel, now I show the BOM number. So if this item is itself a bill of material number, you probably don't have this. If you have subassemblies that, like the front wheel and the back wheel, these three items are subassemblies, I can click on that and it will open up basically that bill of material for me, so I can see the bill of material for that particular sub-assembly without having to leave, okay, without having to leave the production order. I think that's incredibly important. Also to see the flushing method. It'll let me see some cost information as well. So we've enhanced what we do here at Cost Control. We kind of look at these screens and we say, does that look right? You know, do I show the actual consumption of each of these items? Do I show that here? And if not, and same thing on the routing, I think it's important to see the quantity expected, the output that you've made on each operation, and the remaining quantity. This one, look, this one's all at 0. So they've made all 27 of the intended one. So this production order really needs to be finished and posted through the normal process. Okay, number D on page 3 of your study guide is the field to specify who worked on your production journal, in the production journal. So I think it's important. Let's go to the production journal just so if you haven't seen these before. So this is where you record for your for that production order, the actual consumption of materials, the actual hours, the setup time, the run time. But I added in one additional column, just one, and I can actually put in here who specifically did the work. So I can, I can say Doug worked on this, Carolyn worked on that. I can say we'll put Linda down here on this one, and maybe Doug worked on that as well. So that's these different work centers. So this lets you specify, and this information, when you post the output here, it's going to carry with it the names. Now I'm not going to actually do it here, but it will carry with it the names of those resources that do the work. Now this is going to tie in when we get into the scanning of time. Now I'm just typing it in here, but what if we set it up so that Carolyn and Doug and Linda could all scan a badge and allocate their time to this production order and have that time come in automatically to the setup time and run time? That would be pretty handy. So I'm going to show you that in just a couple minutes. We're going to get to that one. Okay, so that's number D in your study guide. In fact, let me just go back there, make sure I cover all these things. B, I showed you that one. Okay, so this is D, who's on the production order, so you can actually specify a person. A lot of people want to know who did the work, and even daily. I've seen some people post their time daily, and so you definitely want to use the time capture system. Okay, and one last thing, and I think this is one of the coolest things. So I'm going to do this fairly quickly here, but I want you to watch real closely what I'm going to do. So I'm going to exit out of this production order, and do I leave the order? Yes, I am. Let's go back to the product design area. So let me go back to the main menu. Okay, so here's the role center. What I want you to see, I'm going to go into product design, and I want you to see if you've done anything with bills of materials and routers. You're going to love this. So I'm going to add a new inventory item just so you can see this from scratch. So I'm going to add a new item, and I could use that number. I don't really like that number. I'm going to use FG 909. So that's the part number. I'm just going to make up a number. We'll renumber that, of course. And we'll give this a name. So we'll call this finished good number 909. And I just call it that. Your inventory items are going to be totally different than what I have here, but I just want you to get a sense for adding this finished good. And the replenishment, instead of a purchased item, we're going to produce it. Where this is an item we're going to actually make ourselves. So when you make an item, you've got two things that you need to set up. You need to set up how you make it. So that's the router, the process, and what materials go into it so that they get consumed. So here's the improvement that we made to make this extremely fast for you guys in manufacturing. So the first thing is the routing, right? So this is a brand new item, so there is no router showing up here on my lines. So I'm just going to click the blank line, and it says a routing header does not exist. Would you like to create one? Yeah. So I press enter, and it builds the routing for me for this finished good 909 automatically. And now I can put in my operation 10, my operation 20, operation 30, whatever many you've got, work centers, and you can select the work center that it's going to go into. So this can go to the packing department, then it moves down here to the, let's say it goes down to the lathe, and eventually it's going to go into cut and strip and trim, so something like that. And you'd have the amount of time and so forth. So extremely fast to basically add. Now I've got my router set, and you see it's there. And I can click on it, and it'll take me to it. Or if I need to make some edits or changes to it, it's just that quick to make those changes. And the same for the bill of material. Watch this. For you guys that are having to go create a bill of material somewhere else and come back and link them back here, craziness. You need to just one click say, yes, I want to create my bill of material for this item. And now I start putting in the material list. So I could, we'll put in an item. Let's just pick a couple things here. We'll say we need a chain. We'll need 4 pieces of chain on this item. This finished good. Let's pick a couple more items. We'll have, what else should we put in there? A chain, a socket. Okay, so you're going to put in. I'll put 10 of those, and let's put one more inventory item in here. We'll have a mud guard on it, and it's got one of those. So instantly, I'm starting to build. You may have 20 or 30 items in your bill of materials, but that quick, I've just with one click here, I'm able to go and create my bill of materials. So now I've got my process set up, and I've got my bill of materials set up, and I'm ready. I can literally now create a production order for this FG 909, and the BOM and the router are going to come in instantly. It's all ready to go that quick. So that's the kind of thing that we're on the lookout for. How can we improve the product to make it quicker and easier for you guys out in the field as you're using the software? Hey, I noticed one more thing here. Look, this supply and demand. I think it's important because I'm in inventory, so I want to know what my supply is, my quantity and requisitions, my quantity on purchase orders, my total supply, and what's the demand. Demand for this tire. This is the tire. How many have I got on component lines, on service orders, sales orders, jobs? What's my total demand and my net available? So at any given time on any item, I can see exactly the status of my inventory with supply and demand, which you want to keep in balance, okay, in a typical manufacturing environment. So these are all usability improvements. That's what we're doing here, is we're making the software much, much easier for you to use on a day-to-day basis. And this is called our Manufacturing Plus. All right, so let me stick with the plan here. Okay, so I want to do a quick poll and see if you like some of that stuff. So let me know. Let me launch this up on the screen. You got to grab your mouse, a little participation here. Let me know if you like that feature and if you could use some of that, what I just showed you, for either you or maybe if you're a reseller on the call, maybe that might apply to you. Okay, so got to be quick. I'm going to close the poll, and I'll share it back with you. We've got 70% of you, that's really quite good, saying yes, you could use the feature. 10% said not for you, that's perfectly okay. And 20% is maybe, so almost 90% are kind of like some of the things. And I've only shown you 4 or 5 things out of the 42. I think there's about 42, 43 improvements that we have made to with the Manufacturing Plus functionality. And if you'd like a list of all of them, just type that into the question box. Say, send me a list of all the 42 features of Manufacturing Plus. Okay, so I got a couple questions that have come in. Let me hit these as we go. One says, can we import the CSV files for the BOM at this step? Yeah, absolutely. What I would do there to import the BOM is I would write on this product design area. Let me just do it. I'll just backdoor that bill of materials. You'll see it here. So here's the one I just added for that 909. I would add a button up here that says import bill of materials. So add a button up here that says import your BOM from maybe a CAD system, that type of thing. And if you don't know how to do that, give us a call and we can assist you in that process. Okay, so Aaron asks, I would like to know perhaps in future how you use item creation templates. Yeah, I'm not going to cover that one here today, Aaron, but call me and I'll be glad to chat with you about it. And I've had several people requesting the list of features, and we will get those out to you. Okay, hey, let's go on. What's next on our list to show you guys? Okay, so this is good. So I'm going to cover what I call self-service. Employees scanning. I had several people that registered for the webinar wanted to learn about scanning time. In other words, how can I allocate my employees' time as efficiently as possible? So the solution that we recommend here, it's called manufacturing time entry. And it enables your employees to capture labor hours to a production order, okay, by just scanning. I'm going to do an example here in just a second. The extra problem is time entry out of the box is it's not per person. That's the thing. It's just how much time was spent on it. So I like it more related to an individual, so I know exactly who worked on the production order. I'm kind of like to know the details of that information, so we like to see it on a per person basis. So, and you'll see, in fact, here's a picture of the way it comes out of the box. You've got setup time, run time for the wheel assembly, chain assembly. You can see this a picture out of the software, but there's no place here in the out of the box system to record who did the work. So the advantage that you just saw is we added that extra column right here so that you could actually specify who was doing the work. And now we're going to show you a front end to that concept of letting the employee actually scan and punch in. It's kind of a punch in and punch out or scan in their time. All right. And we do it with a nice traveler. It's important to have a nice traveler for your job so that you can have a barcode on it. I've got one printed out like this here in front of me. So this part, I can't really show you everything I'm going to do, but I am going to bring up this screen here. So I wanted to have a picture of this in your screen. I'm going to show it to you live here in just a second. This is where the employees out in the shop would be able to scan their time and what production order number, the item, and the operation, like the assembly department that they're working on. Then they would clock in or clock out of that operation. Let's go take a look, see if I can do this live. I didn't practice as much as I probably should have, but let me just try and see if we can do this. I don't think I'll need this. So let me show you what they would see out in the shop. So out in the shop, let this open up. Here we go. So this is what the employees would see on. You would need to have a computer out there of some, and it doesn't have to be an overly fancy computer, but it does need to obviously be attached to your system. And typically you would have some kind of handheld device. And I've got a little handheld scanner here that I've plugged into my computer. And so I'm going to scan, I'm going to scan a bar code for Linda. So I see it just, you'll probably hear it click a little bit there in the background. So I've just scanned in Linda, and now I'm going to scan in the production order number. And I've got a traveler that I printed. I just showed you a picture of that in your book there. And let me scan the production order number. Come on. There we go. So there's the production order number, 40048. And then it puts it the follow-up. So it shows that we're making a finished good number 404. The operation, let's scan in the paint station. So I'll scan that. That's operation 20 at the paint station. And then Linda would basically hit this, or I've actually got a barcode for clock in too. Rather than clicking it with my mouse, let me move my mouse away so you don't think I cheat. I've got a barcode over here that says clock in. So I'll scan that, see if that works. There we go. And the screen clears, Linda walks away, and somebody else can come up here and enter their time. So she's gone off. The date and the time is constantly running. So it's always showing you the date and time here at the top of the screen. Now she goes off, does the work. Maybe somebody else comes up. Let me scan in Mark. So I got to scan his badge. So here's Mark, and we'll put him. Maybe we'll put him on that same production order because I've got it handy. Cheat here a little bit. And so he's working on the same production order. Maybe he's working on a different operation. We'll put him on that CNC machine down there for 410. That's operation 30. And then we'll just hit the clock in, and Mark will go away. Can't quite reach it. There we go. And he goes away, and now he's working. So I've got two people working out in the shop. Okay, you get the concept here? So this screen, they don't see NAV. Okay, the workers out in the shop don't need to see the NAV software at all. Doesn't apply. All they're doing is allocating their time to the work. Now let's say Linda comes back, she finishes that work, and I'll scan her badge, and it's going to realize that she's, if everything goes right, see it says right here, clocked into this job. So it knows she's clocked in what she's working on. In fact, you can see her entries. So this is the different entries that she's been working on today. And then she could clock out. Oh, I clicked it rather than I could have scanned it or clicked it. It works either way. And so that clocks her out, and I have now an elapsed time that she spent. And I would do the same with Mark. I think you get the idea of how basically the employees would have this screen up in front of them. Now, you can also use it manually. I could just type in Mark here. I'm just typing it on the keyboard. And then I press tab, and it does show that he's clocked in. And do notice I have an option to do lookups. So this bar kind of window here on the right side lets me see a look of all the valid production orders. And that's kind of key here with this software, because we integrate totally with your NAV software. You don't have to export out to a third-party system what the production orders are. This already knows the production orders, because in the setup, you tell it the server name, the port name, the service tier, and your company name. And so it knows how to interface instantly to your NAV side of the software. So very cool way to basically clocked in. I'll go ahead and clock him out of that operation. And very cool way to now transfer that to, it all transfers to NAV, and then you run it through an approval and post it to your production orders. So it is basically a front end. Let's go ahead and close this. I think you get the idea. It's basically a front end to your accounting system to let you allocate the time. So it posts to the output journal with the new column. This is important, with the new column for that resource. So Mark and Linda and Doug would all have their names showing in all of your reporting, your history files, your production order audit report. They're all going to show exactly who was working on it right in the capacity ledger entries. Okay, let's see if anybody thinks that's cool or not. It's okay. And if these things don't apply to you, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I just want to know if this is of interest to you. Okay, so click there. You can say maybe, or you can say it's not for you, and that's okay too. Just let me know if you think you could use this feature or not. Gotta need 2 more people to vote. Okay, good. I'll close the poll, and I like to share it back so you can see it. It's actually higher than I thought it would be. 67% said yes, that they could use this feature to be able to do the time allocations. 11% said not for them, perfectly okay. And I got a couple, 22% said maybe. I'll take that. That's nice. Thank you very much for um, doing that. I think I had a question here. Is this feature included in Job Manager Core on the cloud or Job Manager? No, this is a feature all by itself. So this time entry, so we call it manufacturing time entry, stands totally alone. So it's not designed for jobs or job costing. This is for NAV manufacturing. And whether you have our manufacturing plus or not, doesn't matter. This will work all by itself. So this is, and each of our products, we design each of our products to be very much kind of standalone and independent. So you can buy one or the other, or hopefully all of them. If you like them all, you can buy them all. Okay, let's go to the back to your study guide. I'm on what page am I on? Page 7 of your study guide. Gap number 3. There is no quality control. Have you noticed that? There's no quality control for testing your raw materials or your finished goods out of the box. It just doesn't exist. And so long time ago, we said, well, that's not right. Most manufacturers like to be able to test their raw materials before they put them into production, or test their finished goods before they ship them to a customer, and be sure that it passes the quality standards that you have. So we added this whole granule, which again is standalone. You don't have to have Job Manager. You don't have to have Manufacturing Plus. You can just purchase the quality control all by itself, and it interfaces to your NAV manufacturing. Actually, you don't even have to have manufacturing. It'll work for distribution type environments. So the out of the box, have you noticed that on the routing here's a picture of the routing. There's an option there for quality measures, and you can put in things like weight and a minimum value and a maximum value. That's great. It's information only. It doesn't really do anything. And so it was like, well, that's nice, but that really doesn't help the users test the item. You want to be able to record an actual test result against these standards. And so that's what we did with our add-on. We basically created a new window in NAV that allows you to record test results. That's what quality control is all about, is recording test results. So there's a picture in your book, in your study guide here, that shows the quality control. And let's see, what page am I on here anyway? Page 7, okay, is the quality control. So let's go take a look. I want you to see it live. It's much more fun that way anyway than just looking at a bunch of pictures. So I'm going to go back to the Roll Center here. And, one thing I didn't put the quality control. Oh, I do have it on here. Okay, so I added the testing window, just the testing window. Before I do this, I just want to show you one thing real quick. So quality control can be here on your departments menu. And you have all these different choices, the specifications, you can build those up. You can see specs by item. You can create specs by customer. You can see the lot card and the serial number cards. And then here is the testing. And there are several reports that go with it as well. But the one that's the most important is this one for testing. So actually, I'll just do it from here. So we'll just open up the test list. So these are all the tests that have occurred so far. Not very many, but a few. And a couple things I'll show you about each test. I'm going to start with, Let me start with this first one that's in process. This one's in process. Let's just take a look at the test information. I forget what's in here. Okay, this is a good example. All right, so you've got a picture of the item that you're testing. This just comes from your inventory master file, is where you set up your picture. And it shows the, I'm doing a cable. So this is the part number. So you'd have a part number. Every test is going to have a unique number assigned to it. So you'd have a number assigned to that test. Each test is going to have a status. So this one's in process, but it could be new, could be ready for testing, could be in process, ready for review. If you have like a manager that has to check out the test itself, you could do that here. You could certify it if it's passes everything, or you could reject it, actually. Do that as well. And then you have your quality measures. Now I've got just three. I've got appearance, density, and length. For those of you that are really into quality testing, you're going to have probably 10 different things that you test for. pH factors, wet density, atomic weight, I don't know, all sorts of different things that you might test for. And each of them are going to have a lower and upper limit that is acceptable. Okay, because what we're looking for is non-conformance. We want to see if any of the test lines are in non-conformance. And if they are, you'll see that this lights up in colors. It'll go red and tells you that, whoa, this test line was out of spec, basically, is what's happening. Oh, let's do this one. Look, this one hasn't been tested. So these lines, these two have been finished. This one hasn't. I can actually do some work here. Okay, so here's the lower, and normally it's 6.5 is the measure. What are we measuring? Length. Okay, so I'm going to say it's, let's put it at 7. Ooh, this should be good. I'll put in 7.5. And press enter, and it says, whoa, Rick, you kind of made a mistake. Now, either I miskeyed it here, or that really is the problem. Now, when I put in a line that is non-conforming, look, I get a big warning here. I get a warning, this turns red. Everything kind of warns me that, whoa, there's a problem with this line item. But maybe I made a mistake, and it's really 6.2. Okay, I can correct it. Now it's conformance and everything's good on this test. So, but if it's bad, you might return it to the vendor if it's bad, or maybe if it's in a production environment, you send it back for rework or something like that. And you can actually do the transfer, so you can transfer out of a particular location and move it from your QC quarantine location and then send it to the general availability location in inventory. Here's one other that's certified. I want to show one other little thing here, which is the C of A. A lot of you will produce a certificate of analysis. That is a kind of a document that let's just print this preview. Let's see if I can go in just a little bit closer here. Go 150. All right. So it's a certificate of analysis. It's a document that says on this date, here's the item that we tested. It's got the lot number or serial number somewhere. Here's the that's the test number, tested by. Let's see. Oh, here it is. So this one didn't have a lot or serial number. It's not mandatory, but a lot of people like to record the lot or serial number that applies to that particular item that you're testing. Here's the three items that were tested, what the lower and limits were, and this is the test values. And then the supervisor signs it and dates the document, which is often then that C of A is often shipped with your product to the customer. Okay, now that's a pretty quick view of, and I'm sorry, I have to go pretty quick here on these things. Quick view of quality control. I do have some detailed video demonstrations of this on our website, or if you want to see some of your items, I'd be more than happy to do a live presentation with you as well. So let me know. Again, some feedback is always helpful here. Does this apply to you? Do you have a laboratory or someplace where you do testing and you want to record test results and do it all in NAV? So everything I'm showing you, I hope you're getting this concept. Everything is in NAV. You're not doing it in a spreadsheet, okay, in some way far away information. You want this recorded here along with everything else that you're doing, okay? Do everything in NAV. Okay, if you didn't vote, you got to be quick. Okay, so I'll share this back. Actually, it's better than I thought. 50% said yes. 17% said sorry, not for you. That's okay. I've got others. And then 35% are a maybe on QC. Which is great. And if, again, I've got brochures, documents, videos, user manuals. Just contact us or put it in the question box if you'd like us to send you more information about the quality control functionality. We think it's pretty cool stuff. Okay, so let's go on. So number 4. Manufacturing reports. I was surprised when people signed up for this session. Quite a few people did comment that the reporting out of the box is kind of weak. And yeah, it is. So we've put together a package of, I think there's 15 or 16 reports that come in this, what we call manufacturing reports pack. And one of them is the sample traveler. In fact, this is what I used to scan the barcodes. So I had the production order number, the item number, and then the operation that they were working on. And that's included. The fonts, you'll need to get the fonts from us. I just use a 3 of 9 true type font, and it prints the production order number as a barcode. That's all it's doing. Okay. Another nice report. Well, let me just show you this one. So let's go into the actual reports itself. So I'm in Manufacturing Plus here, and let's just bring up some of these reports, the goodies. So there's the Master Production Scheduler. It kind of surprised me that actually this kind of doesn't exist out of the box. And it was like, what? So I've got all my simulated production orders, chronological, and then it goes into my released production orders. And I could filter this to just show one or the other. So it gives me a listing of all of my orders, shows the starting date, starting time, the production order number, the item that you're making, description. I imagine if you're into manufacturing, you probably have a management meeting, maybe daily or at least Wednesdays, where you sit around and have we done this one? Have we done this? Any problems with this one? And you kind of discuss that list of what's in production. And putting this on a clipboard is not that bad of a deal. Okay, you can definitely look at it here on screen like I'm doing, but having it as a hard copy, okay, because you can just print this thing out, is pretty handy to use in a staff meeting of some sort to review the work in process. The traveler, let me just print that once so you can see what that looks like. Let's print what released orders. We'll just bring it up on screen just so you can see this concept here. So here's a good example. So this is what I call my simple traveler, and it shows the production order, the barcode, and then these are the operations. So your staff can sign in, sign out on those particular operations. Okay, makes sense. Couple others, the routing, the bomb master. The routing's nice that I would assume you need some way to physically verify that you've got the routing designed properly. So the engineers like to be able to get a hard copy of their routing. So this is the list, and It's even set up kind of as a worksheet so that you could kind of print just one production order and then have the staff enter their time kind of manually, but then you would of course turn around and type that into the time entry. Okay, so reporting. I think I want to. Yeah, let's see. You just get your take on reports. Are you happy with the reports, or could you use some additional report functionality? Take just a second and let me know your thoughts on reporting. Okay, well, that's good. All right, let me just close that out and we'll share it back with you. So 70, that's pretty high. 75% said yes, you could use a feature like reporting. That's great to hear. 13% said sorry, not for you, and actually, though 13 and 75, it puts it about 88%. Could use some type of certainly a reporting functionality, and I think pretty darn important. Okay, so let's close out of this report. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. So gap number 5 is there's no visual scheduling tool out of the box. And sorry, NAV does not have a way to display your production orders in some sort of Gantt chart view where you can see down the left side your production orders, timeline across the top, and at least see it, because the way you look at your production orders, let me move this out of the way. When you look at these production orders here, it's just a list. And they all will have different start dates and times, and then within any one of them, you've got the problem of the routing, which is all the steps that are going to occur, and they're going to have a bunch of dates. So it's all this confusion of dates, and it's just not visually easy to see. Not what I would kind of call that. So we like it. This one, all the products that I've shown you so far are all written here in-house in the good old USA by Cost Control Software. What I'm going to show you now, a visual production scheduler, is produced by a company called Netronic. And this is the only product that we currently sell for a scheduling solution. And it is sold worldwide. And we're a distributor for it. So down the left side, just so you can get an idea of what you're looking at here, down the left side are your production orders, and you can open up any one of them and see the action. You can click on it, and it'll take you right to that supporting production order. So it's definitely integrated with your NAV software. Okay. And you can see, there's one other thing I wanted to show you here. There we go. So if you click on the little triangle out here, you can open up and see each of the operations. So this shows the 4 operational steps and when those operational steps are going to be occurring in your timeline. Okay, depending whether your timeline, now I'm showing it pretty much hour by hour, but you may be more of a situation where you want to see it more of a kind of a day by day, or you want to look several weeks in advance. You can kind of control the views up here with how you want this arranged. You could then print it out. So if you want to get a hard copy of it, you can do a print preview, and it'll so designed so you can put it on a plotter even or something like that if you want it nice and big. So you can print these things out. You can also see down the left side, instead of the production order numbers, you might want to see it by the resource. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So here you can see this is the assembly department, which has Mike and Brian and Linda. And then we've got the packing department, which has the 3 packing tables. And so it's going to show all the work at each of these locations, how many hours. And down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that's Linda's histogram. So there's a spike there in red, indicates that overcapacity. So you can kind of compare the NAV setup of capacity to how many hours have been assigned to Linda. And each of these operations can be adjusted. So if you want to do a visual drag and drop and say, well, that's going to be moved to a different time. Oh, that one's finished. Okay. But you can make a visual drag and drop and make changes. And then what I like is you can save this. So you do a save data, and that's kind of publishing that data back to your NAV software and updating it with any changes that the scheduler makes here on the Gantt chart view. Very interactive, okay? And then new data that comes in, new production orders, you just hit this reload data, and it's going to pull in any new production orders as well to your to this production order list here. So really nice to be able to see it visually. It's quick and easy to install, reasonable in price. I think you guys would really like having this additional functionality of some kind of scheduling tool. And so let me just take a quick poll and see if this applies to any of you. Could you use some of this feature? So let me know. Yes, no, maybe. Not for you. It's okay. So just click up there and let me know if you could use this. Okay. Hurry, hurry. I'm going to close the poll. 3, 2, 1. Done. Okay, I'll share it back. And let's see what people said. 67% said they could use this feature. That's great. Okay, and we can help you get this installed. 17%, that's okay. Not for you, it's all right, perfectly okay. And 17% are a maybe on adding scheduling to your installation. Perfectly okay. So actually, I'm pleased with that. And so, if you would like more information on the scheduling product or any of the products that you've seen here today, and I know I kind of buzzed through these things, but I want you to. This is kind of a product awareness more than anything else. And what you have to do is get the courage to call us and say, hey, I saw this webinar and you showed time entry and scheduling and barcoding and some of these other things. And just call and let us know. So Aaron's already asking in the question box, do you have a scanning solution for inventory control and counting? Yes, of course we do. So those kind of things, you just need to let us know, and we'll see if we can't find out, some specifics as far as your requirements. Okay, the question we often get in the question box, which I haven't seen yet, is, so how much does this software cost? And yeah, there is a cost to it. I'm sorry, but there is a cost to it. This is not free software. Some of these things, quality control, the manufacturing plus, the reports pack, certainly the scheduling software, this all has a cost to it, but it's not as expensive as you might think it is. So don't kind of hold back and say, oh, I'll never be able to afford that. You don't even know what the cost is. So the key here is, if some of these modules are attractive to you, you just send us an email. You've had an email from me. You probably have Jenny's email. Contact us and we'll put together a quote for you. So you'll know what the cost would be to buy the software, first of all, install it, and then provide some training on how to use the software. That's what we do. Okay? So, I'm going to put up my contact information. Again, my name that's me, Rick Baxter, here in Cost Control. I'm in Carmel, Indiana, just north of Indianapolis. And we really appreciate having you here today and taking a little time with us. And let's see. So a couple questions have come in. Let me just hit these real quick. What are the different modules? So there are those 5 modules that I just listed in your handout. And based on the presentation, what modules are required with and which are not? Well, none of them are required. So it's only if you want these. These are add-on modules. So NAV manufacturing works without any of this. Okay, quite frankly, it just works better. We think much better if you have these things in there. And then a question is also how much customization can be done with each modules. They're all very customizable. So if quality control doesn't have the things you need, we often do customizations for customers with the quality control or the manufacturing. We do a lot of personalizations and customizations for clients as well. Or the end users, as you guys as end users, you may want to tackle some of those, maybe just through some personalization. You can make changes. Okay, so another question came in. Do these add-ons work with NAV 2013? The answer is yes. They work with 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. They will be working, many of them, with the Business Central on-prem release. And then always the question is, what about the cloud? And I see that question in here. If we're talking about the Microsoft Cloud and features on AppSource, some of these are on AppSource, like our, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we have just released our quality control. This granule here is now published and available on cloud. So for the Business Central on cloud, quality control is released. We are working right now on our manufacturing plus granule, this one that we started out with here. This one is being submitted, I think, this week or next to be added to AppSource. It has to go through a pretty strict requirements process to get listed on AppSource. We've submitted some things and they didn't pass, and we have to make changes and then submit again. And so it's not just willy-nilly putting things on AppSource. Microsoft, I approve that they really check the quality of the products that are on AppSource. So if it's listed on AppSource, it's a pretty good product. So our Manufacturing Plus should be on the AppSource Cloud version here shortly. Our Quality Control already is. And I'm not sure if we're going to work on our time entry next. I think we're going to be working on a couple other projects before we can get to time entry. And I think the scheduling software is going to be available on AppSource as well. Okay, appreciate the questions, guys. Robert says, I missed the first half. Is there a recording? Yes, so we will send, Jenny will get that sent out probably tomorrow or the next day for sure. The recording of this presentation. If you missed it, or if you have anybody else that you think needs to see some of these things, you want to show it to your boss and say, hey, look at this. We need this. We need this quality control. You know, we need to be able to test our items, or we need scheduling, or whatever it is. And you got to show your boss some of these things. This scheduling, I think, is fantastic. So, it's just, you got to nudge the owners to take a really close look at these products. Okay, we'll close it out here for today. Thank you guys very much for taking 60 minutes with Cost Control Software. Again, my name was Rick Baxter. We're around Carmel, Indiana. Stop by if you're ever in town, or let's have a web meeting and take a look at your specific applications. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.